Due to some housing laws issued by the government in the last year, plus our hyperinflated economy, plus the currency restrictions we've had in place since 2003, housing availability, specifically rentals, have become a real problem for the expats moving into our country. Many owners have decided not to rent their properties and are just waiting until they decide it is a good time to sell them. That's why when it comes to finding properties for rent to offer our clients, sometimes it is very difficult to find 8 to 10 properties to show them so they can have a choice. Although having an expat from a prestigious multinational is very appealing to owners, they prefer to be cautious when deciding to rent. Another problem is the locations to look for. We don't have expat communities per se. Expats live among mid to upper class Venezuelans, although they do tend to look for areas where other expats live. Most expats, by word of mouth, get information on which are the best places to live in Caracas in terms of security, closeness to the school, commercial areas, etc. So everybody ends up wanting to live in the same area, resulting in a super high demand versus a very limited availability. Therefore, rentals can get very high, and sometimes their housing budgets cannot meet those prices. For security reasons, we recommend our clients to live in buildings instead of houses. Those buildings have guards 24 hours. Many of them have CCTV providing additional security measures in places where the rents tend to be higher. Apartments can be as small as 60 square meters up to 500 square meters. Features could be marble floors, panoramic views of the city, bathrooms in each room, maids' quarters, private elevators, storage rooms, 1 to 5 parking spaces, depending on the size of the apartment. Larger properties are usually furnished, except for major electrical appliances, which include microwave, stove, oven, dishwasher, washing and dryer machines, air conditioning systems, and furnished properties are usually the smaller sized and are ready to move in. You just need to bring your luggage. Small pets are welcomed in most areas. Large pets are generally accepted in houses instead of apartments. Commuting times could be very long depending on where you live. If you have children, it is recommended to live closer to the school than to the office. Commuting time could be from half an hour to 1 hour, depending on the time of the day. As I said before, rental prices are very high compared to other Latin American countries. Regarding rental payments, although it is illegal to make transactions in currencies different than bolívares, owners set the rental prices based on the unofficial exchange rate, and it is becoming more and more difficult to find owners willing to accept rents paid in local currency. They request advanced payments, sometimes for a full year rent, so they can exchange those bolívares into US dollars and preserve the value of their investment against inflation, and of course fear of devaluation. Usually lease lengths are 1 year, renewable for another year. A letter of guarantee or security deposit is accepted. Security deposits are equivalent to 3 months' rent. It is preferable that the company is the guarantor to the lease because security deposits are very difficult to recover. Diplomatic clause is generally accepted by the owners. Rental payment does not cover utilities. Taxes and condo fees are usually paid by the owner. However, in some cases, owners ask condo fees to be added to the rent. One important thing to be aware of is the landlords do not accept easily the term wear and tear. They expect the properties to be returned in better condition than when they were delivered. They usually ask for additional repairs before the painting of interior walls, floor polishing, and inspection of plumbing and electrical systems, thus making recovery security deposits so difficult. Now, in order to avoid issues with the security deposits, we take pictures of everything. We have everything documented in an apartment prior to the tenant moving in. In Venezuela, fortunately, international schools are not an area of concern. In Caracas, for example, there are various international schools covering the English, French, and German communities. Our international schools follow their respective countries' education curricula and schedule, with additional emphasis placed on the Spanish language and the history and culture of Latin America, especially Venezuela. However, school fees are very high and must be paid in local currency. All schools provide general and admissions information on their web pages. Grades must be notarized and legalized in their home countries as a requisite for admission. A placement test will be required, and also English as a second language classes can be provided to students not proficient in the language. Assignees should not use public transportation. It is not considered safe. However, driving in Venezuela could represent a challenge. Venezuelans seldom follow traffic rules, and driving in certain areas and at certain times of night can be dangerous. It is a good idea if the company can provide a driver for a few weeks to help the family become familiar with the city. The use of GPS is encouraged because streets go by names and not by the usual number identification system. However, Caracas is a very small valley city and anybody can provide directions. However, remember that the Avila, our leading mountain, is placed in the north of the city. Always look for it if you fear you're lost. Security is definitely an issue in our country. It is wise to take precautions and follow the instructions provided by the security department of your company. It is advisable to be as low profile as possible when in the streets. Do not wear jewelry or costly watches. Preferably, do not use your cellular phone while driving. It is not safe, and also it is against the law. And never use a cell phone when walking in the streets to prevent robberies. Do not use public transportation by any means. Even mid to upper class Venezuelans avoid the use of public transportation for the same reasons. Avoid driving late at night. Better to visit friends' houses close to the areas where you and they live. It is not safe to drive around the country by car. Always try to fly instead of driving. Even though this is a country with a high crime rate, it is not common to have alarm systems in our houses. Most of the time, if the property has an alarm system installed, they may not use it. It is very common to have bars on our windows, security locks at the main entrance doors, high fences and electric gates at the entrance of buildings and private houses. The thing that I love the most is our weather. It is like you are in summer all year long. You can go to the beach every day if you want. Also, we have beautiful beaches all over the country, and we have the Andes. Those are very, very beautiful mountains. And we have the jungle, and we have the Orinoco River, which is beautiful. And we have Canaima, the Angel Falls, and we have Margarita Island. And we have many, many beautiful places to visit. Food is delicious. Food is fun like us and very positive.